Hello everyone, welcome to your next QB64 tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be learning about Boolean data types. So in this case, before we get started, I'd like to go over a thing called constants. Now you know how you can declare a variable, or let's just be specific, an integer, and QB64 dim number as integer, and we can set number to equal many things like 66 or just 6, and later on in the program we can go ahead and change that value to something else like 88, and this is valid. With constants you cannot change the initial value. So let's go ahead and create a constant right up here, and the syntax is const, stands for constant, and then our name, we're just going to call this constant, and then what it equals, and so we're just going to say 66. And so we just created a constant. Constant right here will always equal 66 no matter what happens in the program. It'll always equal 66. If we try to change the value, constant equals 100 or 199, we'll get an error message saying we can't do that. The reason being is that it's a constant. So with that said, let's get on to the Boolean part of this video. Now simply, Booleans are data types that can hold two values, true or false. That kind of resembles binary code, where you can either have a value of 1 or 0, with true being 1 and false being 0. Now you would think, since it's a data type, you would say, okay, dim and bool, we'll just call that will stand for Boolean, as Boolean. And if we hit enter, it gives us an error message. And the reason why, you can see it says unknown type. The reason why that is Boolean is not built into QB64. If you use Visual Basic, then you will see that Boolean is included, because this is perfectly valid in Visual Basic, but however, this was not included in QBasic. So now we have to kind of create our own version of a Boolean. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now first of all, we are going to define some constants. Now remember how I told you Booleans resemble binary code, with true being 1 and false being 0. Well, we can define some constants. Const true equals 1. And so whenever the program, I should say, types in true will hold the value of 1. And of course the same for false, except for false has the value of 0. So with our little Boolean system set up, we are going to create a nice little simulation where the computer asks the user if they're married. It's going to be a very simple program to demonstrate. So we need a variable, we need a string, dim yes, no, I'm just going to call it yes or no, if the user said they're married or not. Dim yes, no as string, because it's going to be text. And that's all we really need. So input, actually, I apologize, we need one more variable. Dim married as integer. This lets us know whether or not the person is married. So in this case, we're going to input, are you married? And then that's going to be saved into yes, no, because they're either going to say yes or no. And we're going to have a simple little if statement. If yes, no equals, we're just going to put y for yes, then, and we're going to put married equals true, actually lowercase, true. Else, if yes, no equals n, then married equals false. And if. So this is saying if the user types in y, then married will equal true. That means that he is married, and of course true equals 1, so I guess technically you could say married equals 1, but married equals true in this case, since we named it true. And on the other hand, if yes, no equals n, the user typed in n, then married will equal false, married will equal 0 for untrue. And so we can type in some if statements to go along with our married boolean, because technically you could say this is our boolean with air quotes around it, because technically it's an integer, but we could call it a boolean since it has true or false. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and type in some if statements. If married equals true, then, and let's think of something good to print out. Print, let me think. Get your spouse some flowers. Okay, and if married equals false, then print you are very lonely. And if. And actually, we want to use else if. Sorry about that. So go ahead, else if. There we go. So here's what's going to happen. It's going to ask, are you married? And if the user types in Y, then married will equal true. No, married will equal false. And if married equals true, get your spouse some flowers. Married equals false, you are very lonely. Let's test this out. Excuse me for it taking so long. Okay, so it asks, are you married? We'll just put in Y for yes. Get your spouse some flowers. And let's try again for no. So are you married? No. You are very lonely. So as you can see, this program works perfectly. And you can actually reuse these Boolean values for anything really, because true will always equal 1 and false will always equal 0. So you can you can define some other variables like dim. It can ask whether or not you have a job. So job as integer. And I'm just going to go ahead and put another example. We're going to go ahead and input, actually we're going to do it right here to make it clear. Input, do you have a job? Not job, job. And we're going to save that into job. Actually, we're going to have to save that into yes, no instead, because that's a string variable. So yes, no. And if yes, no equals y, then, or yes, job will equal true. Else, if yes, no equals no, then job is going to equal false. And if. Alright, so as you can see, we can reuse the true and false repeatedly as long as we like, because we made that nice little Boolean system. And so in this case, why not just put a little reaction in the computer? So if job equals true, then we're going to put print you are a hard working person, or whatever. And else if job equals false, then we're going to go ahead and print you are a lazy bum. And if. Alright, so let's go ahead and test our program. Alright, so are you married? Yes, sure. Get your spouse some flowers. Do you have a job? No. You are a lazy bum. Let's test for the other reactions. Are you married? No. You are very lonely. Do you have a job? Yes. You are a hard-working person. So as you can see, these Boolean variables, well, not variables, these Boolean constants work perfectly. And the whole point of this is to make true always equal 1, false always equal 0, and then set other variables to equal true or false, thus kind of creating our, air quotes, Boolean variable when in reality, it's only an integer accepting 1 or 0. The whole true and false thing just makes it a lot clearer and easier to read. So I hope this helped you in any capacity. I do encourage you to use Booleans. They're extremely helpful, and they are found, like every other programming language that I've worked with, they have Booleans built in with this. So fortunately, I can tell you that you probably won't have to do this for every language. They'll probably have built-in Booleans. And so I hope this was helpful to you in any capacity. And if you have any other questions about Booleans, feel free to ask me or message me. And for some more sources on Booleans, check out School Freeware's QB64 tutorials on Booleans. So I hope this helped you in any capacity. My name is Zachary, and I bid you farewell.